car for $15,000? Today we brought together two prime fighting examples of two very different cars from opposite sides of the world. The precise, thoroughbred E46 M3 and America's son, the C5 Corvette. This is a matter of Tyson versus Mayweather, the heavy hitter versus the quick ballet dancer. Different packages, sure, but on paper and for the money, they couldn't be closer. Could the car from Kentucky, though, really bring the fight to the enthusiast chosen one? This will certainly be a fun day finding out the answer.
I've driven a few Corvettes before, a C6 and a C4, but this is actually the first time I've driven a C5. This is going to be literally the first of first impressions.
Let me move this seat back because Mitchell is short. Is it electric? Little plastic piece that looks like it must have broken. There we go.
I already feel like I'm in my mom's 2001 GMC Yukon. Well, it runs. That's a good start.
It is so plasticky. I mean, like, this knob, that's the lock knob. Luckily, the owner of this car replaced the worst steering wheel in the entire world with this Momo steering wheel. This looks really good. And the little Hurst ball is sweet.
I think that's reverse. Oh, yeah, that shifter is really heavy.
This particular car has turned 90-something thousand miles, but it all feels really solid. I mean, even though it's plasticky, the plastic held up. There's no cracks, there's no real wear marks. The buttons all still look like they're supposed to be buttons.
Corvette. It's fun. Oh yeah, I like this.
There's a little like clicky, plasticky sound going on. I see, yeah, like little sounds like that. No idea what that means.
You know, the C5, it came out, what, 97? They replaced the C4. I've driven C4s, and I like the C4 actually.
I just shifted right there, it did the 1 to 4, which I'm not a fan of. It's stupid. When you look out on the Vette too, you see like these big humps, and you kind of feel like you're in a Batmobile. The pop-ups are awesome. You want a car with pop-ups, and this car, when you actually pop them up, goes legit.
I thought the steering was going to be awful. It's actually not too bad. It's pretty heavy. The turn in doesn't give you much at first, right when you turn in. It's kind of a big dead spot, then it weights up a lot. That's a little disconcerting. It's not the sharpest steering, but the feel through the wheels is actually quite good.
Corvettes kind of get the idea of being a dentist car because they're kind of boring. They're still cool and it's enough to show like I'm interested in cars. There's like kind of a stigma around Corvettes, but I don't really get it because like for the money, there is not a faster car. There really isn't.
From 3,000 RPM, this thing is just a monster. The brake feels actually pretty good. It's just a little weird. It weighs up a lot, and you just gotta be patient with it.
Yeah, like Mitchell said, the air conditioning and everything is a joke. It's the exact same out of a, GMC van. on a track, these seats would suck. They would be the absolute worst. But when you're cruising, like what we're doing right now, or if you're a dentist on your way to work, comfy, nice. Very American, lazy boyish.
A little road noise, not too bad. I could easily hop in this thing. If we're up near Sacramento, you could drive this to LA. No problem, I already can tell. I don't think it's as sharp as something like an M3, but an M3 or 911 don't have a big V8 in it, and this is a lot of fun.
This is the type of car that I have absolutely no idea how much grip it has. If you're flying around turns and it lets the rear end go, you're gonna crash. You know, it's a little heavy and kind of numb, but it's not as electric feeling as the M3. When you enter a turn going really fast, you're kind of just throwing it in, predicting it has grip because it's a Corvette, but not really being so sure what to do with it if it decides to let it go.
It's the engine of the Corvette that dominates the experience, providing Millennium Falcon levels of thrust with an absolute firecracker of an engine note. Don't believe us still? We'll have a listen to this. But that's not everything we love about the Vette. It's reasonably comfortable and even frugal, with the world's best gear shift. But in the end, it does suffer from an interior only Ray Charles can love and the trademark unsupportive seats. But given the overall driving experience, if given the keys to one, we'd gladly accept any day.
Maybe there aren't better cars. This thing is awesome.
Disrupting the peace of the Corvette. Oh, that's fine.
BMW M3. For the last nearly 30 years, this has been the benchmark, and the E46, with its reactor grade straight six, is of the best of the breed.
So now we're back into the M3, and you gotta love that straight six. The S54 is a masterpiece. Man, the noise inside here is phenomenal. It doesn't feel like driving it around. It doesn't have nearly as much punch as the Corvette. Oh yeah! So straight off the bat, in the M3, this is a nicer car to be in. The materials, everything around here, everything's soft. You can just feel the build quality in here. The driving position I like better. There's more feel in the steering, it's much more direct. The weighting is pretty much the same, just there's so much more on-center feel. You can really get a knack for what the front tire and the rest of the car is doing in here. It's a little more pointy, I'd say. It just feels so much more alert, just like it wants to be on the track.
My biggest gripe with this car is the transmission. This just feels like you have some knife and butter on the other side. My absolute favorite thing about this car is the engine, and I'll show you why right now. Oh yeah! Okay.
Second gear. Sport mode. M's chassis is really doing a good job on it. It's soaking up everything. They still have full control over the rear end.
The sport mode is kind of a joke. I don't know why it's not on all the time. It's a used car, so it's hard to find one of these cars that hasn't been used by some kid. These are the years of the douchey BMW drivers. But I understand why the douches bought them, because it feels nice and it looks good.
Oh man, Vano's kicked in.
So you're not show-offy, because you notice the big wheel arches and the hump on the hood, and the little spoiler, and the dual exhaust, and the sport mode button. And there's a bunch of little things that add up to make it a fun, cool car. Yeah, it revs to the moon, baby. Oh, it just revs. It just wants to rev.
I'm sure if you put both of them on a track, they're going to run really, really similar out. Almost think the Corvette might be faster just because it has so much grip. Giving this car the beans, it actually feels as fast as the Corvette. It's just you have to actually work the gearbox a little, do it, and that's not part of the fun of driving. I'm gonna say, if you want to choose between an M3 or a Corvette, you're stuck in a choice. It's going to be all about the way it looks. Which car do you think looks better to you?
The M3 has an altogether civilized nature. Remember, this is a sedan, and it'll behave like one when asked. The Corvette is like the type of girl you meet and bring home to your parents and marry 8 months later, while the M3 is the one you've been dating off and on for 6 years with no plans of commitment, and when it breaks, which it will, or when you crash it, which you will, you dump it and move on to another.
As much as we love both of these cars, we can't even begin to express how much they are both benefited by the presence of manual transmissions. Sure, the Corvette 6-speed is much more satisfying to use than the BMs, but it only matters that the manual even exists here, compared to their automatic slushbox and SMG counterparts that suck the very soul of these cars like a Dementor's kiss. This is how driving is meant to be. On a track, the Corvette undoubtedly feels it would be faster, thanks to its Hulk levels of power and tires with more grip than a Stage 5 Klinger ex-girlfriend. But it's the M3 we feel would be the more fun car to drive at the limit. And in this test, it was the more fun of the two to drive all the time. Though close, the M3 was the one we'd both have.